What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. Let me first say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget about the Moomoo link. The offer ends very soon in just a couple of weeks. Deposit $100 and you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Anyways, when it comes to the market, I want to talk about how this is looking. We got a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure on SPY. We're starting to uptrend quite nicely. Jerome Powell is still speaking right now, but I've been listening to all this politics talk for almost an hour. It's given me a big headache, and I just want to be honest with you all. Nothing Jerome Powell said was bearish for the markets, and everything else is helping it pump, and it's going to likely continue on this trend. So when Jerome Powell was asked about is there a recession likely coming, Jerome Powell said no. He basically said that right now the trend is still suggesting there's going to be a lot of economic growth coming. There's a lot more strength in different sectors than more than what was like basically anticipated. And on top of this, he mentioned that a recession is a possibility, but it's improbable, and that there's a lot of changes to be made in order for that to happen. You mentioned that a soft landing is also a possibility, but the Fed is not going to make the announcement until they get more data. They have to keep looking at more data. And then on top of that, there's just a lot of politics talk, which I just found to be very, very annoying. A lot of people just kept trying to get him to say things about different political views and this and that. For the most part, Jerome Powell did say that things are looking better than what other people were expecting. And for now, the Fed will continue to monitor the data, and his claims about the recession are what ended up helping the market start to push. So he's basically saying that right now there's not a recession happening right now, and there aren't any signs of it happening yet. It's still a possibility, but so far there's a lot of strength. So that's why SPY is pumping the way it is. He could say more things, but so far everything he said is very ambiguous. He's not providing way too many specific answers. Most of the time, he's just saying it depends on the data. And he's not going to comment on every single thing that he's being asked. And for the most part, most of what he said is still helping the markets. So, with that being said, just as a reminder, Jerome Powell is still giving his testimony in front of the House. He's also going to give another testimony tomorrow, but overall, it may not be as effective as this one. He's helping the market pump. SPY is pushing nicely. We're at this 511 area, kind of a shuffling, but there is potential for us to push up higher because when you look at the daily time frame, we have this gap to fill. There's actually a gap that's unfilled all the way up here, closer to this 512 area. So it is possible SPY pushes a little bit more. There's still some potential for it to push a little higher, and Jerome Powell might help fuel that. All right, so that's it for SPY. There's definitely more upside. Make sure you watch 510 as key supports, followed by 508.5. That's exactly where it bounced off right here, and now it's still holding up nicely. I told you all that SPY will likely get a pop and then drop, approaching Jerome Powell. And after Powell's speech, if we break 510, expect more upside, or if we lost 508, expect downside. What happened? We popped and dropped as predicted, and now we're starting to push higher. Thank you to Jerome Powell. Now, for the QQQs, just like SPY, this thing actually got a big drop all the way back down towards the 436s, I believe. Actually, I think it was just above that, so 437. We're seeing a nice bounce. We're retesting this 440 area. If we break this, we could see a slow push to fill this gap towards 445. Overall, this is bullish. As long as we try to break above 440, we could be looking for 442, then eventually 443.5 to 444 for the gap fill. For support, make sure you watch 438. Overall, we're on a very, very nice uptrend, and this has a lot more potential. Nvda is looking pretty good right now, getting a nice push. We'll be looking at 885 as resistance. If we break this, watch 892 and then 899 to 900. For support, make sure you watch 882. If we lose this, we could retrace to 875. But overall, Nvidia is on a very, very strong trend. It's been pushing very nicely, and it's still looking pretty strong. For Aapl of all things is looking pretty good. Aapl came down quite a bit, showing some weakness, but now it's trying to make its way back up to this 170 area. So what's good about Apple's, it's trying to base right now. You guys can see it's trying to hold close to 170. That's a pretty good sign, but we need to see a bigger break of 172 for this thing to really turn back to bullish. So I'm still going to be very patient with this, at least for the time being. And last but not least, as for Tesla is still very lackluster. We had a lot of bad news that came out. We're barely at 176. We also held 175. So watch resistance right here. We have resistance very close to just under 178, and then we have 180. Our support is 175. We also saw this thing try to hold up around there. So we'll see how well Tesla does from here, but otherwise it's still kind of stuck in this range, very, very tight. And it's still very, very weak because of all this bad news that was coming out. So a lot of bad news had been continuing to come out for Tesla. involving the OpenAI case, the fire that happened near the Gigafactory in Berlin. So watch resistance very close to 178 and 180. Watch support at 175. We're still kind of weak. We may just continue to shuffle, not really getting a break. So watch for that as well. All right, guys. All right, guys. Excuse me. SPY is doing well now. It's trying to push higher. So thank you all so much for listening. This is just going to be a very quick update. Jerome Powell's helping the markets thus far, so we'll see how it goes. And so far, the bulls are starting to gain control. Thank you for listening. I'll see you guys very soon, in just a couple of hours, and peace out.